Hi, my name is Jay Sugarman, and I want to welcome you to Museum Open House. This ongoing series features and highlights many of the outstanding museums and other cultural institutions. The main purpose of most programs is to inform viewers about current and upcoming exhibits, various programs, resources, and other opportunities that are available for the general public. Today, via Zoom, we're fortunate to have as our guests Ginevra Zanolli and Ginevra Morse from American Ancestors, a nationally recognized center for family history, genealogy, and historical research, which is located on Newbury Street. Through innovative exhibits and programs, American Ancestors helps people discover the stories, experiences, and connections that have shaped their families and our nation. During the program, Jennifer will introduce us to the Family Heritage Experience, an immersive exhibition that invites visitors to explore the rich and often surprising stories hidden within their own family histories. Ginevra will discuss the powerful exhibition Patriots of Color, Stories of Courage, Resistance, and Legacy. This important exhibition shines a light on the diverse men and women of color who contributed to the American Revolution and the founding of the nation. Stories that have too often been overlooked in traditional historical narratives. Together, these exhibitions demonstrate how history is not just something we study, it's something we inherit, discover, and continually reinterpret. From uncovering personal family stories to broadening our understanding of the people who helped shape America, today's program explores the many ways the past continues to inform the present. Let's start by meeting Jennifer and Ginevra. Welcome. So delighted both of you able to be here. I had the wonderful opportunity to visit American Ancestors about 2 weeks ago. Learned so much. So glad I had the opportunity to visit there. Eager to find out more and have you inform viewers. But before we jump right to that, I think it would be of interest if each of you would just very briefly share a little bit more about your backgrounds, perhaps professional interests, what your current position entails. Jennifer, would you please start?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Jay, for that wonderful introduction to American ancestors and the family heritage experience. I really appreciated that. There's so much that we do here at American Ancestors, so it's nice to get an overview of it. My professional background is I've been working in museums and cultural organizations for the past 15 years and was hired to be the first manager of the Family Heritage Experience last year when we opened in April 2025. I love cultural organizations. I consider myself a museum geek. I like going to different exhibitions. And what I love about working on American Ancestors and the Family Heritage Experience is it's a way to make history personal. And that is really exciting and it's a great entry point for people into discovering their family history.
Most definitely, most definitely. Thank you. Ginevra, welcome. Please, a little bit about your background, current position.
Well, thank you. And it's a pleasure being here with both you, Jay, and Jennifer. So, my name is Ginevra Morse. I am currently the Chief Learning and Interpretation Officer here at American Ancestors. I've been with the organization for now 16 years, and I oversee our exhibits. I work very closely with Jennifer and the Family Heritage Experience, but also all of our educational and cultural programming that we offer, both online and in person, special events, book talks, other programs. And then I also oversee our membership magazine and books and journals. So, as Jennifer mentioned, we're quite busy and we do a lot at American Ancestors. But personally, I really came to the organization also I love cultural organizations, I love museums, and I've also been doing family history with my dad since I was a kid. So, it's certainly kind of in my bones, in my genes, quite literally. And so it's just been a fantastic place to work and grow in.
Terrific, terrific. Jennifer, building on a little background of American ancestors, what inspired the creation of the family heritage experience and what makes it different from a traditional genealogy program, please?
Yeah. So the Family Heritage Experience was designed to be an introduction into genealogy and family history. At American Ancestors, we know that only about just over 50% of Americans can name all four of their grandparents by name.
Wow.
And so there's tremendous interest in people connecting with their heritage, connecting with their family stories, understanding where they've come from. And so this was an introductory way for American ancestors to help bridge that gap and get people discovering that you can find information about your family no matter where you're starting. So for Ginevra, she has been talking about family history for a long time. For me, it wasn't necessarily something that my
Hmm.
family talked about. I had heard little stories and lores and things like that. But I really appreciate about the family heritage experiences, no matter where you're coming from, there is something for you to learn and discover and get curious about. And that was really what it was designed to help achieve.
Now, there's
Now,
so many wonderful
yeah.
displays and interactive experiences. For those who haven't had the opportunity yet to visit, could you provide an overview of some of the displays, experiences, and resources that are available for the general public, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's lots of different ways to kind of get introduced to family history. So we try to spark curiosity for people, and one of the ways that we do that is by presenting 90 different questions that people can choose from to learn a little bit more about how a genealogist might approach answering that question. It'll also introduce you to some historical documents. Another interactive that's really fun is the Your Name, Your Year, where you can enter in your first, your last name, and the year you were born. And you can learn about the etymology of your last name,
Hmm.
where in the world other people share your last name. You can also find out information about the year you were born. I always like to show people the price of gas, which is a statistic that we keep track of. But there's also other fun ones like what was the most popular movie that was happening or other historical events the year you were born. And that's a good reminder also for people that have been doing genealogy for a longer period of time to sometimes look around the history of your ancestor to see what was happening, and that can sometimes provide clues. The other thing is American Ancestors has been around as an organization for 181 years, and we've been a
Hmm.
collecting institution since then. So, in addition to the interactives, we also have artifacts on display that kind of show how families have passed down their family history over generations, whether that's through photographs, family trees, quilts, portraits. There's lots of different ways that families have done that, and we kind of showcase some of those ways in the exhibition.
How does the exhibition help visitors understand that family history is also part of larger American history?
Yeah, I think that is one of the things that is exciting to look at. So, one, I think the Patriots of Color exhibition is one way to kind of use family history as a lens to make it feel American history feel personal to you, because all of our ancestors interact in intersect with history in various different ways and those stories, whether it's through migration, whether through its industrial age, whether it's through wars. Um, all of our families are going through that. It's just a question of whether we know those stories. And so this in genealogy is kind of a way of figuring out where your family story fits within that larger narrative.
What are some of the challenges that might arise when researching histories that may have gaps, missing records, or even difficult truths to unveil?
Yeah, family history, every family has kind of both challenges and triumphs in its story. And that can be challenging for the person that is researching. can also be incredibly rewarding. I think one of the things that I love is that there's so many different ways to go about researching your ancestors. So again, sometimes the document exists, sometimes it's digitized, sometimes it's readily available. Sometimes you have to go on a little bit of a scavenger hunt to find that history. And then other times you hit a brick wall where you're not sure what the next step is. And that's what I really appreciate about American Ancestors is they provide a lot of different ways for you to kind of try to figure out what that next step it could be. So whether that's meeting with one-on-one with a genealogist, attending one of our public programs, reading one of our publications, there's lots of different ways to approach genealogy, and I really appreciate that about American Ancestors.
Why do you think people today seem to be increasingly interested in discovering their family stories and personal history?
Yeah, I think people are looking for connection. I think we're all trying to figure out kind of where we fit into the larger narrative, and family history can provide a way for us to connect both with history as well as our family. And I think that can be a really powerful tool.
And just thinking about the current day artificial intelligence technology, in what ways has modern technology transformed genealogical research over the last, say, decade?
A, a lot. So, it's so amazing when I get to talk to our members that have been a part of American Ancestors for the last 50 years and to hear how their research has changed. Previously, you would have to be physically going and trying to explore lots of different areas that connected with your ancestors, or at least you would be calling them up and say, "Hey, is there any chance that you can look at
Mhm.
this? It seems like you might have that." Versus for a lot of people that are beginning, a great entry point is online resources. While not everything has been digitized, I sometimes compare it to an iceberg. Only the tippity top is available online. There's a lot more underneath it, but it does provide a wonderful entry point for people that are interested in getting into family history.
What do you hope visitors take away after spending time in the family ex heritage experience?
I really hope that they leave with a sense of curiosity and kind of wanting to ask some more questions. I also hope that they leave with understanding that they can start their family history research at any point. Again, whether you're inheriting that research from somebody else, or if it might spark a conversation with a family member to try to learn more. I love when I see people leave and then they call a family member to try to ask a question to figure out something, and you can kind of see that spark happen.
Nice, nice. Well, thank you for that wonderful overview. And I can't encourage visitors and viewers enough to make their time to go down in the Back Bay area, Newbury Street, and visit American Ancestors and tour the family heritage experience. You set it up in such an engaging way that it's so inviting and really helps get you just started if you have any curiosity at all about your own personal past. Thank you. Ginevra, what inspired fascinating exhibit Patriots of Color, and why would you say this story is especially important to tell today?
Sure. So, American Ancestors is also home to the 10 Million Names Initiative. So, it's a huge undertaking involving lots of different cultural organizations and historical societies across the country. And the mission of 10 Million Names is really to uncover the names of the 10 million men, women, and children of African descent who were enslaved in what would later become or eventually become the United States. And one of the scholarly research endeavors for this year was to create descendancy trees of 75 Patriots of Color, connecting the Patriot stories with living descendants up until about 1900 today. And because that was such a huge endeavor, we wanted an exhibit to really start to create the context around their lives, around these patriots' lives, and tell a larger story something that's really been overlooked, I'd say, for the last 250 years or so. Um, so that was really kind of the impetus for us to start to even conceptualize this exhibit. And then it also gave us an opportunity to look through our archives again through a different lens. We have a large collection of Revolutionary War era items and artifacts,
Mm.
and start to pull out some of those stories of Patriots of Color. They're kind of buried in the archives. So it was a great opportunity, and like I said, an opportunity to build context around a larger scholarly endeavor as well.
Building on that nice overview, how does the exhibition challenge the traditional narratives of the American Revolution?
I think as school children, we're sometimes taught a very kind of monolithic, and I think with any period in time, there's kind of like this monolithic version of history, of American history. And we often hear the stories of generals and officers and battles, and we kind of forget, or we aren't exposed to the stories of ordinary individuals living in extraordinary times. And especially for people of Black, Native, and multiracial backgrounds, those stories are just often overlooked or forgotten. And so I think the exhibit itself just kind of sheds light on these overlooked stories. And I think it's also just interesting to know that about 5% of the Patriot forces were people of color.
Mm.
And I think that's just, again, something that's not taught, that's not known widely. So this was just another opportunity to shed light on those stories and that fact.
Most definitely. For those who haven't had the opportunity to visit yet, would you please provide an overview of what people can look forward to, the different displays, interactive opportunities, resources from Patriots of Color, please?
Sure. So we have certainly items, artifacts from our collections on display, starting with a very famous um, image, Paul Revere's engraving of the Boston Massacre. And we use that as a starting point. So in our collection, we have I believe it's an 1832 copy made from Paul Revere's original
Wow.
plate. And as I said, it's a very uh, common, popular image leading up to the revolution itself. But I think what's interesting and how we interpret that piece is one of the most famous victims of the Boston Massacre, Crispus Attucks, is not. He's probably in there, but he's not
Mm.
shown as a person of color. And we know that he was of Black and Wampanoag descent. So even starting very early on, there's um, a bit of a whitewashing or kind of removal of kind of
Mm.
the importance and the participation of Black and Indigenous individuals from the revolutionary story and narrative. So that's just one piece that we start with. We worked very closely with the Cambridge Art or the Community Art Center in Cambridge and their teen public art program. And we selected, again, working with our 10 Million Names team, we selected 26 individuals, all, again, Patriots of Color so two from each of the 13 colonies.
Mm.
We have an interactive display, so we have a short bio on each of those 26 individuals. And then we've worked with that teen public art program to develop kind of an imagined silhouette for each individual. So that was an amazing collaboration and a fantastic opportunity to work with local teens and artists to start to put a face, even if it's still a somewhat obscured face, in silhouette to these 26 individuals. And I also love the use of silhouettes. I mean, that's you'll see that throughout the exhibit, but a silhouette is, of course, very of the period. It's a 18th and early 19th century form of really kind of capturing someone's likeness. This is before the age of photography. Of course, painted portraiture was not as popular as we would hope, or not as available to everyone as we would hope. Um, so the silhouettes is kind of an of period way to really start to imagine these stories as people in front of you. But it also shows that their full story is still somewhat obscured and that there's more work to be done to bring all of these stories more completely in light. But we've also shown some stories connecting patriots to present day descendants.
Mhm.
So we've highlighted a few of those stories. It's also, the exhibit itself is interconnected with other elements that you'll find in the family heritage experience. So one of the patriots that we highlight is Cork Martrick. We actually interviewed one of his descendants, Carol Hector Harris,
Yeah.
and you can hear her story in our listening lounge as well, our story station. So, you know, I think something that really we wanted to come through in the exhibit is how these stories are really shared and remembered because of family history. All of the documents that are in display in our collection is because someone kept them, someone preserved them. It was
Mhm.
important to their family story. And we have millions and millions of items like that in our archives and stories just waiting to be told. So this was, I think looking at the anniversary, looking at Patriots of Color, but really through the lens of family history as well.
Terrific, terrific. No, those two features especially engaged me, the teens' contribution, and what a fabulous way for them not only to contribute to the exhibition, but to learn history, to uncover history. And then the listening lounge was fascinating to spend some time sitting and hearing stories of ancestors. Really wonderful feature. One question, in addition to, say, the fighting of people of color, what other ways did they maybe help shape the ideals of freedom and independence at that important stage of our history?
Yeah, absolutely. And we recognize too throughout the exhibit that a patriot is not just someone who took up arms and was fighting on the battlefield, but women certainly were also important patriots. We highlighted a few stories of kind of patriot service. One in which I think is incredibly important, especially in Massachusetts, is the story of Elizabeth Freeman,
Yes.
who in 1781 sued for her freedom, really arguing that the Massachusetts Constitution, which was just recently established in 1780, that uses the term that all men are born free and equal, is the grounds for the abolition of slavery in Massachusetts. She wins her case, and then just 2 years later, Massachusetts does abolish slavery. So that is absolutely a patriotic service, and Elizabeth Freeman is a patriot. So there are many stories like that, where someone isn't necessarily, again, on the battlefield, but they're providing a service, they're providing intellectual and meaningful policy changes, and really forming what would, um, our fledgling nation.
No, Elizabeth Freeman, I can't hear that story enough. I mean, she is truly admirable individual, contributes so much to our state and nation. Um, Ginevra, what's been some of the reactions and feedback from visitors when they encounter Patriots of Color?
Well, I will say that we had a very special launch event for the exhibit, and we invited descendants of patriots.
Oh,
Some
oh,
featured in the
fabulous.
exhibit, some not, but um, it was so moving and gratifying to have descendants in the room, having them kind of view the exhibit and see some of their ancestors on documents that they had never seen before. Um, Barzilia Lou, Cork Martrick, others. And that was just a very special moment. And I think that there have been moments like that since opening. And whether or not, you have a personal connection to these patriots, I think just f more fully understanding our nation's past and the founding of our nation, um, th th those are moments of revelation and inspiration as well.
What do you hope visitors remember most after experiencing Patriots of Color?
I hope that they walk away with a broader understanding of the past. I think also I would love for folks to start to understand the value of family history in understanding our nation's history too. I think Jennifer spoke to this a little bit as well, but it's all of these stories of individuals, of ordinary people that kind of weave this amazing tapestry of our nation's history. Um, and I hope that that comes through in this exhibit, and that's something that people take away.
How long will the exhibit be on display?
So the exhibit will be on display through the end of this year, so through December 2026.
Terrific. Thank you for that wonderful overview and background. Jennifer, in closing, what are some of the other current programs, exhibits, opportunities, or upcoming plans for American ancestors?
Yeah, there's quite a few. So, American Ancestors offers over 250 public programs throughout the
Oh,
year. Yeah, Ginevra and her team are very busy, and the programs range from online lectures to travel programs to our American Inspires um, book series with best-selling authors. There's tours of the family heritage experience. There's hands-on workshops coming up.
hmm.
There's a lot to dig in at American Ancestors, and people can discover that on our website, americanancestors.org.
Terrific, terrific. And I know there's also a bookstore sort of related to the complex as well.
That's right. Yeah. So on our first floor near the Family Heritage Experience, we have a bookstore. In addition to carrying items related to Boston, New England, family history, it's also a place for us to showcase the wonderful publications that we produce here at American Ancestors. Our publications team publishes over 20 books a year.
Wow.
Um, or materials a year, ranging from books to magazines to journals. And this is one of the ways that people can come in and get the latest research.
Terrific, terrific. Well, unfortunately, we've come to the end of the program. I want to thank both of you so much again for taking the time to be here, for informing us all that's going on at American Ancestors, especially the family heritage experience and the special ongoing exhibit Patriots of Color. So much to see and stay in touch with. Just want to end by wishing both of you continued success with future endeavors.
Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much.
I also want to thank those of you watching for joining us and hope you'll be able to tune in next time.